nights never came to dawn. They went on and on when you pulled me out.
Good afternoon and welcome to the final breakout session of AusCERT 2021, the 20th anniversary of the conference. My name is Vlado and I'll be your chair for this final session in this room. For this second last session here, we have Vlado Vajdic, who's a solutions engineer from MITRE Networks, talking about building your active defense with MITRE Shield. Please welcome Vlado.
Thank you very much. Thanks for being here. I expected a smaller audience, so it's great. Already we're doing well. Okay, so today's topic, planning your active defense. A little bit about me. I've been with MITRE for about 1.5 years, working, building active defense techniques, building solutions, seeing how they integrate in customers' environments, and picking up experience on the way, how active defense can help. So, a bit of an introduction into active defense. What is it, and why are we talking about it now? What is the reason why it's becoming more mainstream than before? So, we're talking about limited offensive action. Using cyber deception and adversary engagement, but on friendly networks. In the past, active defense was associated with hacking back kind of concept, where you go and attack whoever is attacking you. Obviously, this concept is generally reserved for law enforcement, intelligence. You have legal problems, essentially, trying to attack somebody's infrastructure, regardless of the fact that it could be an intruder, it could be something illegal. You don't really have the right as an enterprise to do that, unless you work with enforcement, law enforcement. And even then, there are some barriers to it. So we are talking on friendly networks. You may be working with your service providers, and that's something that is possible, but most of the time, you are engaging adversaries on your own turf, in your own network. Where you are actually have full legal rights to do that. Where does it come from? Obviously, militaries have been using adversary engagement, even in cyber for a long time. The concept is very well established. It's actually interesting. In some places around the world, there is an intuitive understanding of deception as a tool of cyber war. Yeah. In some other places, people don't want to use it, regardless of the fact that they are engaging with somebody who is attacking them. They find the concept, strange and maybe dishonest, regardless of the fact that it's a tool of war. But in some places around the world, you talk to a customer and they understand the concept immediately and intuitively. It's potentially a question of culture and understanding of relationships between adversaries. So US Air Force had these 5 Ds, very catchy slogan a while back, probably about 10 years now. Deny, degrade, disrupt, deceive, and destroy, in the concept of cyber warfare. And they're using it. There is some evidence that there is a real usage of this, obviously not reported. There is no public sources that will tell you that, but it is being used. Also, US Cyber Command has this concept of defending forward, because really, as an acknowledgement that passive defense is failing. There is evidence that passive defense is failing in many ways. There are attacks out there, and one of the attacks we're going to talk about it today, where detection was only done by pure chance. Yeah, we're talking about SolarWinds style campaign. These guys were detected by pure luck, and they could have been around for much longer, and they probably are. You know, we don't know how many of these campaigns are actually in progress right now as we speak. But we'll talk about it a little bit later. So US NIST standards are following this active defense becoming mainstream. You can read these documents. There are some really good descriptions on various techniques. But really why we're talking today is because MITRE organization built this shield matrix, similar to attack matrix. How many of you are aware of an attack matrix? Yeah, most of you? Okay, excellent. So, and they also built a mapping, a very clear mapping between each of the attack techniques to a shield defense technique. So right now, you can pick up an attack technique and find from the mapping matrix the active defense technique that would work against these tactics. You can do this right now. You can go and implement it using a number of various tools out there that are available, either open source from commercial vendors like Ativo. You can do this today. And this is really the point of the talk today. So a little practical session on how to build your defenses. So a little bit of analogy to kind of establish the concept a little better. This comes from a strategist from MITRE. The way he describes active defense is that imagine you have in a perimeter network. Yeah, imagine you have a wall around your network, and there is this river of bad stuff coming at you. When you have a network without perimeter, you can perhaps talk about an ocean of badness out there, and you are an island, you know, or your enterprise consists of many little islands, identities floating in this ocean, yeah, trying to take over. You have some defenses, yeah, you will stop some of that. There will some attacks that are going to go through. It is actually amazing, even today, when you speak to a lot of people out there who say, no attacks can come through into my environment. Do you often get this, thrown back at you, that no, attacks are not getting through to my into my enterprise? Anybody out there? No? Okay. I hear this quite often, you know, and it's really depressing to hear it when you hear it. I have a temptation to walk out of the room often, but obviously I can't do that. Yeah. So how the attacks happen? They follow the path of least resistance. Is this true? If you were an attacker, would you follow the path of least resistance? Of course. You have a cost of engagement. You as an attacker, regardless of whether you are a Russian foreign intelligence service or a ransomware operator, you have a cost of operation. You know, none of this is free. Yeah, you have your costs. Yeah, so least resistance is the way to go. Controlled access is the key. So you as a defender should be in control over how these people are getting through, because they will get through. So when they get through, wouldn't you want to be in control of that? Of course you would. Of course you would like to be in control. You know somebody is coming at you, and you direct them where you want them to be. Obviously, it doesn't happen all the time. It happens actually quite rarely. But when it happens, wouldn't you want to be in this sort of position? So the answer will be, I'm hoping, yes. So you want to channel them away from real assets. You want to build a spillway. You know, every dam out there has got a spillway. So when the water gets to the certain point, you open the spillway. Yeah, you release the pressure. This is the concept that active defense is advocating. So how does it sound? I think it's a pretty good description. Obviously, this is for a perimeter-based network. Once we're talking about zero trust, and once we're talking about, you know, everything in the clouds, everything is, you know, every identity is essentially a perimeter. The concept would be slightly different. Oh, well, the description would be slightly different, but the concept would stay the same. Okay, so how does it work in practice? Yeah, so let's say you wanted to implement it. You have an attacker over there, and he somehow is in a position to see your assets. Yeah. So if these assets are in the cloud, he can already see them today. Yeah. In a perimeter, he somehow controls a machine inside your perimeter. What is he going to do? He's going to see your target assets. He's going to see them. Yeah. He can touch them. He can send packets to them. Obviously, in a very well segmented network, that could be a challenge. But most of the time, he can see these assets. We want this guy to divert his attention to some of the decoy assets. We call them traps. We call them lures. You can also call them honeypots, although honeypots have been used for research in the past, not for detection. So this is a slightly different concept, but you can also call them honeypots. So you build this decoy infrastructure inside your network, and you divert the attention of these attackers to the decoy infrastructure. And this infrastructure could be absolutely anything. We have seen customers building carbon copies of some of their environments. Yeah, they have a cluster of database servers, and they have a decoy cluster of database servers, or maybe 3 servers in a cluster are decoys, and the rest are real. We have seen people go to great lengths to build decoy infrastructure. Yeah, just in case the attacker lands in their network, and they're going to do reconnaissance, they're going to look around, they're going to look in Active Directory, they're going to steal identities, and they're going to find these decoy assets. And once they find the decoy assets, it is pretty much game over for any attacker out there. I don't know if you see this point, but once the attacker is in a decoy, this is a deterministic detection. We are not detecting behaviors. We are responding straight away. Attacker in a decoy is a valid detection, 99% of the time. It's deterministic. We are not investigating somebody roaming around your decoy infrastructure. We are responding. We want to know why would somebody end up in a non-production network that is not advertised anywhere. Yeah, we want to know. So, being in a trap is going to break any attacker automation. Yeah, most attackers run automation. It is going to break their automation. It's going to confuse them. It's going to waste their time. It's going to incur their costs. Their costs are going up. Time is ticking. Their cost is going up. A lot of attackers leave. A lot of attackers, once they get caught in a decoy, they leave. And do you know what red team people do when they get caught in a decoy? Do you know what they do? They swear, and they sit down and essentially give up their engagement. We see this time and time again. Essentially, they give up. Or actually, more advanced attackers then attack the management of the decoy infrastructure. They realize they're in a decoy, they get angry, they find where the infrastructure is managed from, and then they attack our management console. We see that a lot of time. And what do? We build the decoy of our management infrastructure. Okay, excellent. Let's have fun. Let's with the red team, obviously. We are not having fun with real attacks, obviously. So this is how this works in practice. So how do we build this? So MITRE built this shield matrix. This is a matrix of defense techniques. They built it based on their research. They have more than 10 years of research in building active defenses. They run active defense in their network. They published papers. They published human behavior, exercises with red teams to prove that active defenses are working. There is a whole body of research out there, and there are 33 techniques in this matrix. It's a little deceptive. There are only actually 33 techniques, but they're grouped in these tactics, similar to the MITRE attack matrix. So let me just quickly go through the tactics. We obviously can't go into any detail, but a channel is essentially diverting, guiding the attacker into a certain direction. Yeah. So you give them a lure, you build some decoy infrastructure, and you guide them into a decoy infrastructure. So this is what channel is. Once they're there, you want to collect. You want to collect intelligence. You want to collect IOCs, any binaries, any scripts. It's a treasure trove for any threat intelligence person out there, because this is a first-hand intelligence. What is the best intelligence you can have? From your own network, from your past attacks, from people who are consistently attacking you, from anyone who has been in your network already. He's likely to come back. If you are targeted by an adversary, he will come back. They do come back. And if you have their IOCs, well, you are almost, you're ready. You're ready to defend. Contain. You want to contain the attacker within a certain area, to decide how quickly you want to respond and how proportionally you want to respond. Do you want to shut down half of your network while you defending like the pipeline people in US? Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. Depending on the type of attacker. What are they trying to shut you down? Are they trying to ransom you? Or is this an untargeted attack and they don't know where they landed and they're trying to figure out what to do to you? Depends what do you want to do? And you have a little bit of time to make a decision. A lot of our customers respond straight away, They're not taking any risks. But responding too early obviously has risks too. When you're talking to a serious attacker, when you're engaging a serious attacker, responding too quickly is a risk. That can be that can cost you. Yeah. So a little bit of time is good here. Detection is obviously very central to the whole exercise. You want to detect. You want to be aware of their activities. You want to know what they're doing. Disrupt. You want to stop them doing certain things. You want to stop them doing certain things. You want to stop them touching your production infrastructure, especially your critical infrastructure. You want to stop them going there as much as possible. The three tactics on the right are kind of more advanced, okay, and not often used. But if you can, you would facilitate. You would allow attackers to do certain things. You would. It's similar to the channel. So you would perhaps even give them access to some of your real production to divert them from the critical production. But at least they're there. You may allow them to do certain things, perhaps to get more intelligence, and perhaps to divert them from the real things. Legitimize. You want to add authenticity to your decoys. So, for example, you can put out a SQL server out there with no data, okay? So they're going to land on this server and they're going to say, this is not production, there is no data in it, okay? How about if you add some data? You make it a test server, you make it a QA server, you put some QA data on it that has expired, that is maybe 6 months old or a year old, that is not current, that is essentially just a bait. So you add also authenticity to your decoys to legitimize the decoy infrastructure. And the last one is test. You test them. In some advanced cases, you want to put a piece of content on the server where they are to see what they do with it. Maybe a script, maybe a credential, maybe a document with something related to a business, and see what they do with it. You give them a bait and you see what they do with it. So this is what test is. I think we need to go a little bit faster, yeah? Okay, so how do you do this? Start with intelligence about the adversary. So you need to know who are you against, yeah? You need to make a list of the attack techniques and start with something, to know what are you defending against. You choose shield tactics using this mapping that I will show you in a moment, and then you deploy these techniques. You operationalize the whole thing. So here's an example. So let's just work through this example. So it's now 2. Okay. So SolarWinds attack. How many of you are aware of it? Yeah, most of you. Okay. Most sophisticated attack ever, perhaps. Most significant attack ever. 15 US government agencies, some big name cybersecurity vendors. Yeah, very sophisticated attack, very wide-ranging attack. So this is a Microsoft slide. So what happened here? This is a second stage. So after they got the Orion server updated with some malicious stuff, they got credentials from memory, you know, some conventional methods there. They enumerated Active Directory. They found some stuff in there. They escalated privileges in the Active Directory. They got a domain admin. They stole SAML signing key, and they got into cloud and got emails and data and so on. Okay. So let's say you want to defend this attack using active defense. What would you do? So deceptive LSS credentials. So you know, Mimikatz is dumping stuff from memory. How about if 1/4 of these credentials are decoys that the attackers dump? Yeah, well, how good would that be? They would find some credentials, they would try to use the credentials, and game over for the attacker. You would know that somebody is dumping memory in your Windows. Yeah, who is dumping memory in your Windows for fun? Nobody. Yeah, and if somebody do, they need to be sacked anyway. Yeah, so this is what I'm saying. This is a deterministic detection. We are not talking behavioral detection that you need analysts' time to correlate and context and map with threat intelligence and so on. No, deterministic. It's an alarm. I need to do something about it. Yeah, and then you would present some SMB shares that are decoys. You would have some WMI decoys around the place. You would intercept AD enumeration. You would give them some false data. You would disrupt the discovery of users that are vulnerable. And what if you had 3 ADFS servers instead of 1? What would happen? The attacker would dump private SAML keys. Would they pick just 1, or would they dump this credential from all 3 ADFS servers? I think they would want all 3. Yeah, and 2 of them are decoys. Yeah. Again, you have a very clear detection. Who is dumping keys from your ADFS? By the way, who is running ADFS here? Or who knows somebody that runs ADFS? Excellent. I'm surprised there is no more people here. They call ADFS LSS for the cloud. So, you know, what Mimikatz did for Windows, now we have ADFS leaking keys. And can you have ADFS that is not attached to Active Directory? You can't, can you? And how easy is it to get a domain admin in Active Directory? How easy is it? What would you say? Half an hour? Who thinks half an hour is enough to get Active Directory domain admin? Who thinks that? A couple of out there. On average, it is half an hour, believe me. Let's get a room full of penetration testers, and let's have a rise of hands. You will see 100% of penetration testers saying it takes us less than half an hour in average enterprise. So how easy to get to the private key of ADFS? Very, very easy. Yeah. So anyway, we are now distracted from active defense here. Okay, so this process is a little difficult because you need to kind of map your own way through this. What if there was an automated way to pick the attack techniques and map them into defense techniques? Well, there is, okay? This is a navigator map of UNC 2452. You have a list of techniques there. You can maybe add a few more to this. I just picked a few here from the discovery column. Discovery column is a big one for active defense, yeah? If you can't discover, you can't attack, yeah? You know, you as an attacker, if you don't have the targets, you struggle, yeah? So you need to do discovery. So I picked a couple. And also, you know, privilege as lateral movement is very closely related to discovery, yeah? You do your discovery, you steal credentials, you do privilege escalation. So in this matrix, privilege escalation, credential access, discovery, lateral movement is 90% of the time that the attacker spends. 90% of the time. They go in circles, finding more targets, getting more credentials, you know, and this circle can go for a long time. Yeah, we're talking months and months and months until they find what they're looking for. Yeah. Typically, they go through 5 different targets before they find what they're looking for. Yeah. So this is an iterative technique here. So we have this, and now can we switch to the computer here? Thank you. So you basically go to the MITRE Shield defense matrix. You go to the complete mapping here. And here is the mapping, yeah? So here's the defense technique. Here is the attack techniques. Here is defense technique. So what do we do? T1078, I think, valid accounts, yeah? This is one of the techniques. And here it is, decoy account. So for the valid accounts technique, I'm going to pick DTE 0010, decoy account defense technique. And you simply go, we can go back to the slide. So you simply go technique by technique, you do the mapping, you find the active defense technique, and you go and implement it. This is the power of MITRE Shield. So you now have a roadmap to building active defense techniques. And obviously, I'm not saying that you would defend SolarWinds attack solely using active defense techniques. I mean, this is really taking it too far. You look at what you have, and you see the defense techniques that you already have in place, preventative and detective. You assess how good they are, and then you look at the ones that you are weak in. Yeah. So, for example, you cannot detach ADFS from the Active Directory. Active Directory is already very, very, vulnerable. So this is something you can't easily build a defensive technique. So why not use an active defense technique in places where passive defense is failing? Why not do that? And this is what more and more people are doing these days. Okay, so let's work through some of these examples. So the attacker is using valid accounts to move laterally around your network. So basically, they steal a password for a valid account, and they jump on another machine. Yeah, it happens all the time. And how? Credentials are everywhere. Credentials are everywhere. There is a sea of credentials in your enterprise. A lot of them are anti-LM credentials. How good are anti-LM credentials? They are only good for the attackers. They are not good for anything else. Can you turn them off? Often you can't. Often you can't. You have stuff that only uses anti-LM. So defense against stealing credential is kind of lost for now. You have to do some serious architecture changes to get rid of some of these credentials, yeah? And not even to talk about credentials in memory, credentials on file systems, credentials in applications, credentials, and I'm talking, there could be hashes, yeah? Hashes can be broken. You know, hashes can be broken. You know, if you have a big cluster of GPUs, you can break any anti-LM hash in how long? How long? 10 minutes, half an hour, a couple of hours, something like that. Yeah. Anyway, when somebody wants to defend against valid accounts, you spray your network with decoy credentials. You spray your network with decoy credentials. If any of these credentials gets used, what do you think this is? What do you think this is? Somebody is digging around your network, malicious or insider maybe, digging around your network for stuff they should not be touching. Yeah? Permissions group discovery. So this is the same as discovering accounts. You want to know who the domain admins are. How do you know who domain admins are on your network? How do you know? Can anybody on your network find who are the domain admins on your network? Show of hands, please. Anybody. Anybody in your network knows who your domain admins are. Full stop. Active Directory cannot prevent that. Active Directory cannot prevent discovery of any privileged account in your network. Ask Microsoft for anything that can prevent that. I mean, you know, it's silly, but it's true. How do you do that? You use software manipulation. There is a technique that would allow you to present decoy responses to any queries that look for privileged accounts. And this is what it looks like. So this is what the attackers would do. Net group, domain admins / DOM would give you the domain admins. How does the attacker know that this list is correct? They don't. There is a technique called software manipulation. MITRE Shield calls it software manipulation, where there is a piece of software that sits on Windows that intercepts the API calls and returns response of your choosing. So these accounts over there, John-ADM, Malcolm.ADM, these are fake accounts. These accounts do not exist. Or maybe they exist in the decoy infrastructure. Yeah? So you can make them real, or you can make them non-existent. Either way, you're either going to get a failed login, or if it's in a decoy infrastructure, you're going to get a successful login, and then you can track the attacker to see what they're doing. So, moving on. Cloud service discovery. What did the SolarWinds attacker do? They wanted cloud. They wanted email, Office 365. They wanted something in Azure, How are they going to do that? They're going to do the cloud service discovery. They're going to run scripts to find what cloud resources do you have. What they're going to find? They're going to find decoy cloud infrastructure out there. They're going to find decoy servers. They're going to find decoy databases, serverless functions, storage bits. They're going to find lots of stuff there that is not real, and they're going to get detected. So, in summary, this is what the attack looked like. Yeah? So the attacker first got the Orion server and then moved around, got ADFS, private key, SAML signing key, got into there. What if some of these boxes or some of these gray boxes were not real? Yeah? What if decoy infrastructure was deployed on some of these gray boxes over there? How much harder would it be for any attacker to move around and find what they're looking for without getting detected? I'd say it would be pretty hard. So that's the whole point of presenting decoys, engaging attackers, instead of passively waiting for your telemetry to tell you something. Passively waiting for your telemetry to tell you something is a valid approach. Or we all do it. How hard is it? It can be hard. Yeah. So if you look at this is, by the way, this is called golden SAML attack. This is how the researchers called it. There is a nice little article published saying, if you correlate these things, you will see this attack. Well, good luck. Good luck with this correlation. Good luck having a good data sources first, ingested. Good luck running good analytics on it. Good luck investigating, correlating to see the analytics is working. Good luck responding to it. Good luck with all of that. And I'm sure some people are doing it out there. I'm sure it's a valid approach. But what if you had 3 ADFS servers and one of them or 2 of them were decoys? How easy would that be to detect private keys extraction and responding straight away. It would work pretty well, I'd say. And this is just an illustration. There are lots of other things that you can do. So this is what the outcome of your exercise would be. So you build your techniques, you build your defenses, and you build your own matrix, your own shield matrix. And you operationalize it. You give it to your operational people and say, run it. Tell me how you're going. And how would you operationalize it? Obviously, this is probably a topic for a whole new talk, but for each decoy type, you would decide what kind of decoy you need and you want and how much effort you want to put into it. You then decide on the placement of these decoys. There are various ways you can place them. You can place them on the point of attack, or you can place them around your assets. They're equally good strategies, or you can put them everywhere. Put them everywhere. You know, if it doesn't cost you anything, just put this decoy everywhere around your network. And then execute, and then reevaluate. Yeah, you know, a lot of people out there start small, see the results, grow bigger, and adapt. So in summary, know your adversary, yeah? Know the techniques you want to defend against. Find your gaps in your existing infrastructure. And then find what are the gaps, do the mapping, and you can automate this mapping. MITRE published everything as JSON, yeah? So you can automate this. You can make an automated pipeline of building your defenses like that. And then collect intelligence would be a big deal, yeah? So if you want good intelligence, this would be a really good way to collect intelligence. And then contain, and the outcome is really, the biggest outcome is accelerating your time to respond. And lowering your cost, yeah, lowering your cost of defense by incorporating active defense in your enterprise defenses. Thank you. Thank you. Any questions? I'd welcome your feedback and questions. That's okay.
So thank you very much, Vajdic. We've got a couple of minutes left if anybody did have any questions. I haven't seen anything come through the app, the floor is open. Otherwise, on behalf of AusCERT, thank you very much. It's
thank you.
Interesting introduction and discussion on how to actually make this work in an enterprise.
Thanks very much.
Please thank Vajdic. Oh, hold on. We have a question come through. Okay, how do you make a decoy visible to an attacker without also becoming visible and therefore usable to legitimate users? So, for example, services get published via DNS, which is visible to everybody.
Well, excellent question. You don't want to make your decoys visible to your users. Yeah, so you want to deploy decoys in a channel that is outside of standard workflows for your production. Yeah. So, for example, a great example is LSAS secrets. Yeah. LSAS secrets are not part of any workflow. Yeah. This is a pretty safe place to put decoys. Yeah. That's one example. Second example is you block a number of IPs in your network, you populate them with decoys, and you hide these IPs from your legitimate network management tools. Yeah? Any vulnerability scanners out there will not see these IPs. If somebody tries to ping this IP from a legitimate vulnerability scanner, they won't get a response. But if somebody is scanning the network, you know, they will be there. Also, we are not advocating that you incorporate decoy content with your production infrastructure. For example, there is a school of thought there that in your production AD, you should have some decoy accounts. Yeah, that is possible, but kind of difficult to manage. Your AD administrators would have to understand that these are not real and so on. What we advocate is build another AD. Yeah, build another AD, call it a test, call it a QA2, call it something interesting, but they'll have no production use. Yeah. So essentially, you build production. You build a decoy copy of a production infrastructure. So you have parallel infrastructures, and then you divert attackers from the real infrastructure into the decoy infrastructure by using else's credentials, by using hidden lures, by using a PowerShell script with clear text credential in a file system. Yeah? For example, how many of your standard users would be digging through the file system looking for PowerShell scripts? How many of them would do that? Yeah. So it is not a part of any production workflow. Yeah. So basically, you look for non-production workflows where you put your lures. Your standard users will not see them. The attackers will definitely look for them. Yeah. So that is the answer.
So put everything in plain sight, but not in a place that is either directly linked to or referenced, but is completely open and discoverable.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Vlado. We'll be back in a couple of minutes with the Mike and Leon show.